Hello, my fashion lovers. Welcome to this tutorial. Please, if you have not subscribed, subscribe to my channel to get videos each time I upload. It is free, please. Today, we'll be looking at how to draft a basic bodice pattern. As a beginner, this is the first pattern you should learn how to draft. With this pattern, you're going to use it to make all the clothes you want to make. That is the first step you have to take as a pattern drafting student. Please, as a fashion designer, this is the first thing you have to learn, how to draft a basic bodice pattern. With this, you can draft every other plate you want to make. Please join me. If you have any question, ask in the comment section. Let's go to the bottom table. Thank you. To draft our basic bodice pattern, we will be making use of our tape, marker, curve ruler, and our scissors to draft the basic bodice pattern. Before we begin, we're going to get our measurements. The measurement I'm working with is 17 inches plus 1 inch sewing allowance. That will make it 18 inches for the length. I'm going to mark it out. Please, to know the amount of fabric you're going to use, you're going to divide your biggest bodice measurement with 4. If your bust is the biggest bodice measurement, you're going to divide it by 4. Then add your allowance. Then you know the amount of fabric you're going to need. All right, the shoulder I'm working with is 50 divided by 2. You always divide your shoulder measurement by 2. And when I divide my shoulder measurement by 2, it will give me 7.5. 15 divided by 2 will give me 7.5. Now mark it here. From here, I will take my 1 inch shoulder slope, and to get my armhole length, what I always do is to measure what I have here on my shoulder, then add 1 inch to it as my armhole length. What I have here is 7.5. I'll bring it down from here because this is going to be my shoulder slope. 7.5. Then I'll add 1 inch, making it 8.5. I'll rule my line. For the neck, depending on what you want to sew, I'll be taking normal 3 for the width and 3 inches for the depth. And I'm going to connect. I will connect to my shoulder slope. Connect from here to my shoulder slope. For my armhole curve, I'm going to measure what I have here. Please, anytime you're taking your front armhole, always come in by 3/4. Always coming by 3/4. If you don't know what 3/4 is, please check my video. I made a video on how to read your tape. So you're going to take half of your measurement, half of this measurement, and you're going to come in by 3. I'm going to come in by 3/4 for my armhole curve. I'll come in by 3/4 for my armhole curve to avoid having having excess fabric on your armhole. Going to connect from here to here. I'm going to take my bust length. My bust length is 10.5, and the waist is 17 plus 1 inch sewing allowance. I'll mark it out. This is my chest line, my bust line, and my waist. My bust line and my chest line. I'm going to take my nipple to nipple measurements. Nipple to nipple measurement is 7 divided by 2 will give me 3.5, and I'm going to mark it from the bust point down to the waistline. This is going to serve as my dart. Then from this bust point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, and I'm going to take ½ inch and ½ inch on this side. If you're working with a fat person, you can take 1 inch, 1.5 for the dart, but because this person I'm working with is slim, so I'm going to be taking ½ inch by the side, and I'm going to connect it to the first point. Now to take the body measurements, the bust I'm working with is 36. When I divide it by 4, it will give me 9 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. You can add any allowance you feel comfortable working with. And for my waist, the waist is 28 divided by 4 will give me 7 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. I will take this bust up to the chest and connect. This is the front basic pattern. The front basic pattern. Let's cut. Before we cut, make sure you take the armhole. Take up the armhole. Mark your armhole to meet with your allowance. Then we cut. And for this dart, you are going to notch it. You are going to notch it so that you can be able to sew it in your fabric. Let's draft the back pattern. Please, if you have any question, ask in the comment section. To draft the back pattern, I'm going to take the length 17 inches plus 1 inch sewing allowance, making it 18. This is going to be my starting point. For the back, we are going to take our zip allowance. You can take 2, you can take 1, depending on how you want to put your zip allowance, but I'm taking only 1 inch for my zip allowance. Take it down, take it down. The back basic bodice pattern. The shoulder measurement I'm working with is 15. Still going to be the same with the front. Divided by 2 will give me 7.5. I'll mark it here. Then, like I did in the front, I will take the shoulder slope of 1 inch. Then, whatever you have here, you put 1 inch and connect it as your armhole length. And for the neck, I'm going to take 3 inches. The same neck width you took when you were drafting your front body, that is the same neck width you're going to take in your back body. So we took 3, and we're going to take 3 again. And for the width, you can take anything you want. You can take a 1, you can take 2, you can take 3, depending on what you want to. So, but here I'm going to take 2. And I'm going to connect it to the zip allowance. It's going to get to the zip allowance. And I will take my shoulder slope. For the back, I don't need to take from shoulder to a bust, from shoulder to, no, it's not necessary. What I will do is from my chest line, to take my dart, I will take my bust span. My nipple to nipple measurement is 7 divided by 2 will give me 3.5, and I will impute it here, 3.5. I will take it up, take this line up to the chest. This is going to serve as my dart for the back. And for the sides, I will take 1/2 inch, take 1/2 inch here, take 1/2 inch here, and I will connect to the chest line and the waist. And for the armhole, I don't need to come in. I don't need to come in by 1/2 inch because this is the back, or 1/4 inch because this is the back. The bust measurement I'm working with is 36 divided by 4 will give me 9, plus 2 inches sewing allowance will give me what? 10, 11, 12 for my bust. Then for my waist, what I'm working with is waist 28 divided by 4 will give me 7. Plus 2 inches sewing allowance. That will connect. Then I'll find the middle of this armhole. I'll find the middle, then connect to the chest line. All right, for some people, to avoid you having zip bulge at the back, and to avoid you having folds at the back of your dress, please, you have to come up by 1/2 inch from this line. Please come up by half inch. Come up by half inch and connect to your waistline to avoid bulge. To avoid bulge is very important when taking your pattern drafting, to avoid having bulge at the back. All right, now I'm going to cut. If you have any question, please do not hesitate to ask your question. So this is our back bodice and our front bodice block. With this, you can modify it to do anything you want to make anything you want to make. Thank you very much. Please subscribe, like, and share my video. Thank you.